A couple weeks ago, I posted some videos with my basic strategy flashcards that were just kind of homemade. I used with a Sharpie and wrote on the back, used some highlighter, and overwhelmingly, you guys seem to like those and you wanted to buy them, all right? So what I did is instead of making my own kind of flashcards like that and highlighting them for you, what I did is I went on the computer and I kind of made up some that I think look pretty slick here. And these are going to be available for purchase. And I'll tell you how to get those here at the end of this video. But before I do that, just kind of let me explain how these work so that you know how to use them once you get these flashcards. These are basic strategy flashcards. They typically are for a 6 to 8 deck shoe when you're playing blackjack at the casino. However, there are some caveats that I will explain at the bottom of some of the explanations as well. All right, there's basically 4 decisions. You either have stand, split, hit, or double down, okay? And like I said, at the bottom, there's some other things. Like this one says this is a 15 versus a dealer's 10. And so here, this would be, the bottom says you can surrender a 15 versus 10 if that's available, right? Otherwise, this is kind of based off, like I said, a 6 to 8 deck shoe game. That is an H17 game is kind of what the colored symbols will be. There are a few situations where an S17 game has a little bit of a different rule, and that's also mentioned on the bottom. I try to do my best there and get those all kind of printed out for you, okay? Now, these are full color, all right? I decided to use kind of a red stop sign looking thing for a stand, a blue sort of split circle for a split, just a green square, green for go. That's, to hit again is what I was thinking with that one. And then I just need another color, so yellow was a good one that was left, and that would be to double down, all right? 2 lines there, double the lines. I don't know. I'd, again, try to make these pretty quick because you guys seem to want them. So those are the thinking there. That's the thinking behind some of those different colors. Sometimes it's better in our brain, as they say, if you can associate a color with a particular decision. And here, those decisions will all have those same colors, no matter what the card is. All right. So this one is a stand. It's still red, is what I mean by that. These are going to be available to you as a downloadable PDF that's full color on my Patreon. And I did that for a few reasons. One, I know we don't like to wait. When I want something, I want it right now. And so when you buy that, it is available to you right away. All right, I think that's better than having to wait for it in the mail. Like currently, I am waiting for a new shoe and discard tray. This is my homemade one that I used, and it is back ordered and is been like 2 weeks since I ordered that thing, and I'm frustrated. So by me doing this for you, there's kind of a downloadable PDF, you will get access to that right away. I hope you appreciate that. That was my thinking. It also is going to save you money. Instead of, a lot of you were willing to pay in your comments, you said between $25 to $30. I'm not going to do that to you. I'm just going to charge you $15 for this deck. There are 63 cards. I did that for a few reasons. One is when you download the page, it's going to be kind of a front and back with 9 cards on it. It's going to be here, I'll kind of put one out here, a 3x3 grid like this. This would be an example of 1 page, okay? And you do have to cut it out a little bit. Here's some footage of me cutting out. You can use like a X-Acto knife, or you can use the scissors. It doesn't really matter. I like to be really precise and use a ruler with a knife. But anyway, that's kind of what my thinking was behind that as well. So $15 will get you this. Like I said, there's 63 of those. So that's going to be 7 pages that you would have to maybe print. Now, when you print those, you can choose to print it as nice or as cheaply as you want, okay? If you want to be super cheap, here are some examples of some black and white ones that were printed, right? This is just on black and white cardstock. It's a little bit flimsier. This would cost, I think, about $3 to $5, if that, if you went like to a Staples or an Office Max or Kinko's or whatever you have around where you live. If you bump up the paper a little bit, this is obviously a little thicker paper. There's different options at your local store, whatever you need, but you can do black and white, or you can choose, of course, to print it in the color version, like I did. I did one for me, kind of for my videos, with the nicest paper and the nicest colors. I did both. You'll notice on like this one, for example, this is more centered than these. And so if you choose maybe a little bit of a thinner paper, as opposed to this is like super rigid cardstock. It's like they're, I want to say 100 or 1,000 pound. I can't remember, something with a one. It's going to be, for me at least, it printed a little bit off on the backside. Okay, I made sure that the fronts were still in line with the blue outline, but the backs is seen to print just a little bit off-centered. So if that's a big deal to you, maybe don't get the most thick paper. You can still probably do color, but maybe you want to do more of just like a regular cardstock type thing, okay? So altogether, if you pay the $15 to get the download on my Patreon, which I'll put a link in the description below, as well as print it out, this cost me less than $10 to print all 63 of those, and it's worth it. That's still underneath your $25 price point that you were willing to pay earlier. So I'm trying to be cognizant of that for you guys. Now, a couple other things is this is just basic strategy. It does not give you an edge over the casino, but it lowers the house edge to around 1%, if not a little bit even lower than that. So some days when you go and play using perfect basic strategy, you will win. Other days you will lose, but over the long run, you will lose hopefully less. All right, this is not a guaranteed win. You might win some nights, and that's great, but I'm not trying to say that this is going to make you money. If you do want to make money, I do teach card counting, and that's a whole separate video where you can learn the strategies behind that and when to bet bigger and when to bet smaller and when you have the edge. But this by itself will not be a guaranteed win for you. So before you purchase, I want you to know that. A second thing is that these, again, are just basic strategy flashcards. I am planning here soon to come out with some deviation flashcards as well for my card counters. And so if that's you, just kind of be patient. I am working on that. I have had a few more people that wanted the basic strategy cards as opposed to some of the other deviations that you would need when playing. Now, let me just kind of walk through sort of how you would use these. So that's going to be the last thing I talk about. And then if you want, you can hit that pinned comment down below and go ahead and order these. But let's just talk about a few of these here. So the way you read this is if you're going through your deck like this is all 63 of them. This is what I would read this as: a pair of sevens versus a dealer's eight. And then you would decide, is this a hit, stand, split, or a double down? And if you remember, sevens are split 2 through 7. And so this would be a hit because that's not a 7, it's an 8. Down below at the bottom of this, it says, a little explanation, it says split 2s, 3s, and 7s, 2 through 7, which is exactly what I just said. So that's how I try to remember in my head when I get a decision when I'm playing blackjack that is a pair of 7s. That is what I'm saying in my head so that I know exactly what decision to make. So you can kind of repeat this phrase to yourself as you are doing those flashcards, and I think that might be a helpful way to learn. All right, let's try a couple more. What about a pair of 5s versus a dealer's 6? Well, what you should say on this one is that you treat 5s like a hard 10, and a 10 versus a 6 is going to be a double down. All right, so there we go. The decision is the double down. I also put the decision up at the top in case you forgot. And at the bottom down there, it says never split 5s, treat like a hard 10, which is exactly what I had said because I have these memorized already. Okay, and you'll get there. Let's try just 2 more here. A pair of 9s versus an 8. 9s are split 2 through 9 except for 7. So because 8 is in that range, you're going to split these. So again, down here, this is a split, right? And it says split 9s, 2 through 9, except for 7. Exactly what I learned because I've memorized these phrases. And then it says below, this is important, otherwise you'll stand. So if this was like a pair of 9s versus a 10, you would stand on that. All right, it tells you what to do if that decision is not what's on the front of the card. Like this one, here you have a pair of 9s versus a 7. Well, we just learned you're going to split it 2 through 9 except for 7. So this is the exception where you would do what? You would stand. Okay, and so this one is that red stop sign to stand. So if you found this video helpful, please give me a thumbs up so this can spread to more people. And that pinned comment in the description below or in the comment section below will have a link to my Patreon where you can buy these. You don't have to be a member of my Patreon. If you want to be, I would appreciate that, but you can just go to the little shop on there and purchase these for $15. Print them out tonight if you have a printer, or take them to your local shop and get them nice and printed out in color. And before too long, you will reduce that house edge to about 1/2 of 1%. All right, guys, until next time, this is A1 Blackjack.